While staying at a luxury hotel, the regretful millionaire never expected to reunite with his former lover, let alone discover that she had raised alone the daughter he never knew existed. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. Night drapes over the downtown skyline as Andrew Coleman's private jet touches down on the small city airstrip. He steps off the plane, his reflection flickering in the glossy surface of a waiting limousine. It has been 5 years since he last set foot in this town, 5 years since he believed he'd left his past behind. The taste of nostalgia and regret leaves a bitter note on his tongue. Andrew, at 35, exudes the kind of presence that both impresses and intimidates. Tall, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, his entire bearing speaks of wealth and power. Yet beneath that polished exterior, an invisible weight presses against his heart. This business trip is supposed to be straightforward, oversee an investment deal at the luxurious Riverstone Hotel and fly back out the next morning. But the memory of the person he left behind, Rebecca Donovan, won't leave him alone. He tells himself it's unlikely he'll even see her. After all, they parted ways in Heartbreak nearly a decade ago. She was the girl with the warmest smile in his college literature class, the one who believed in charity over profit, and the only person who ever made him question whether love mattered more than success. He never imagined she'd end up in this city, nowhere near the big dreams they once shared. Now, as the driver navigates toward the hotel, Andrew's chest tightens with every mile closer. The Riverstone Hotel towers above the city's modest skyline, its illuminated facade reflecting in the water below. Andrew steps into the lobby, rolling his shoulders to steady himself. He reminds himself of the promise he made years before. He'd never look back. He wouldn't allow memories to shake the empire he built. A business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars, a symbol of pride that cost him relationships, including the one he cherished most. Still, an inexplicable sense of anticipation needles him as he passes through the opulent foyer. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing flecks of light against the marble walls. Bellhops maneuver silver luggage carts around well-dressed guests. A soft piano melody drifts from the lounge area, mixing with the faint hum of conversation. He almost stops breathing when a voice behind the reception desk announces, "Mr. Coleman, we've been expecting you. The general manager will check you in personally." Andrew nods, forcing a polite smile, ignoring the sudden rush of blood pounding in his ears. He lifts his gaze to see the staff part like a wave, revealing a woman in a fitted blazer, dark hair swept into a neat updo. She carries herself with a confident grace. Even before her eyes fully meet his, Andrew knows who she is. Rebecca Donovan. The same gentle features, though her cheeks are a bit more defined than before. Her dark eyes, wide with surprise, lock onto his. For a moment it feels as if time stands still. The hush that falls between them speaks of words unuttered, hearts left raw. A decade has turned them from hopeful college students to two professionals standing in the middle of a high-end hotel lobby, uncertain whether to embrace the past or bury it. Rebecca's composure breaks for only a second. Her eyes flicker with shock and something akin to hurt. Then, training and professionalism come flooding back. She extends a hand, the polite mask of hospitality quickly slipping into place. "Mr. Coleman," she greets, voice measured, betraying no emotion. "Welcome to the Riverstone. It's been quite a while." Andrew swallows, hearing the tremor in her words that she tries to hide. She uses his surname as if they're strangers, and maybe they are now. "Rebecca, Ms. Donovan," he manages, returning her handshake. "Yes, it has." He senses staff members lurking nearby, watching the exchange curiously. She gestures for him to follow her toward a private check-in desk, a small alcove away from the bustling lobby. Andrew's gaze flickers over her left hand. No ring. That observation kindles a hope he immediately tries to quell, reminding himself he has no right to that knowledge. He was the one who left, chasing a dream of success he thought she'd never understand. Sitting behind a glossy mahogany desk, Rebecca begins tapping keys, her professional tone returning. "We have you in our finest suite courtesy of your investment partners," she explains, handing him a room key card and a folder with details about his stay. "If there is anything else you need, you can reach me through the front desk phone." Andrew nods, wanting desperately to ask 1,000 questions but finding his throat tight and tongue heavy. He glances at the small nameplate on her desk. It reads, General Manager, Rebecca Donovan. A proud part of him admires that she's climbed the ranks, while another part aches, remembering how she once dreamt of running charitable programs instead of hotels. Before he can force a word out, an urgent whisper from the front desk catches Rebecca's attention. She turns to see a younger staff member waving her over. From the corner of his eye, Andrew notices a little girl standing beside the front desk, long, chestnut-brown hair and bright, curious eyes. She can't be more than 7 or 8, wearing a neat uniform that suggests she might attend the city's private elementary. The moment Andrew glimpses her face, a strange sense of déjà vu washes over him. There's something about her small nose and the shape of her mouth, something unsettlingly familiar. Rebecca, noticing Andrew's stare, quickly moves between them as if trying to block his line of sight. She leans down to speak to the child. Andrew can't quite hear the conversation, but he watches as the girl nods solemnly, then returns to an older housekeeper's side. A single question roars in Andrew's mind. Who is that child? But the moment passes swiftly. Rebecca straightens, tries to look composed, and politely gestures toward the elevator. "I'll have someone show you to your suite. I have a matter to attend to." Their eyes lock again. In that brief instant, Andrew sees guilt, sadness, and even a flicker of anger in her gaze. Then she steps away, calling over a bellhop to take Andrew upstairs. Dazed, he allows the staffer to guide him to the elevator, his mind racing. In the hush of the elevator ride, Andrew clenches the keycard in his hand. The reflection in the mirrored panel shows a man who has everything except peace. The memory of that child's eyes won't fade. They seemed so hauntingly akin to his own. Could it be? He pushes the thought aside, rationalizing that he might be seeing what he wants to see. Yet his heart refuses to calm. After all, didn't he and Rebecca share so much once? Dreams, laughter, and love. Could he really have left behind more than he realized? As the elevator doors slide open to reveal the lavish corridor of the penthouse suite, Andrew's phone buzzes, snapping him out of his reverie. It's his financial advisor calling about tomorrow's negotiations. He answers mechanically, trying to focus on the business at hand, but his gaze keeps drifting back to the elevator's reflection of the man he barely recognizes. Andrew wonders why Rebecca never reached out after he left. Could she have tried, and he ignored the calls, too consumed by his own ambition? The guilt churns his stomach. He sets down his bag in the suite's living area, marble floors, plush furnishings, city lights twinkling through floor-to-ceiling windows. By all accounts, it's perfect. But Andrew feels hollow as he sits on the edge of a pristine leather couch. He forces himself to replay the conversation with Rebecca. So cold, so distant. How different she looked from the college graduate who once teased him for skipping volunteer shifts in favor of corporate galas. He recalls the last fight they had, a heated argument in a cramped apartment where she accused him of selling out, forgetting the people who needed help. He roared that she didn't understand real ambition, and he stormed out. The final words they exchanged still sting. "Did she move on?" he murmurs. It's logical to assume so, but the protective way she shielded that little girl from him suggests another story. A story that creeps into his mind, unbidden. The possibility that the child could be his. It's absurd, he insists to himself. They ended things too many years ago, didn't they? Night deepens. Andrew paces the suite, glancing at the phone as if expecting it to ring. He's never felt so powerless. Tomorrow he will face his business associates, finalize a deal that will expand his holdings significantly, and once again prove he is the unstoppable Andrew Coleman. Yet none of that brings comfort now. Instead, his thoughts revolve around a single face, Rebecca's, and a single question. Is there a little girl asleep somewhere in this very hotel who carries his blood in her veins? Downstairs, Rebecca stands in her office, trembling hands pressed against her desk. She exhales shakily, listening to the distant hum of guests checking in, oblivious to the turmoil in her heart. On a small side table, a photograph is turned face down, one that no one but she is allowed to see. If Andrew found it, the entire secret she has guarded for 8 years would unravel in an instant. From a hallway vantage point, that same little girl Andrew saw earlier glances toward her mother's partially open office door. She wonders why her mom appears upset. She always has a smile for every guest. But tonight, something has changed. The child clutches a tiny necklace in her hand, the only keepsake she has from a father she's never met. In 2 separate corners of the Grand Hotel, a father and mother stand in silent anguish, separated by the consequences of choices made long ago. Neither can sleep. Both know that tomorrow's dawn may bring revelations they've tried so hard to avoid. And high above it all, the star-filled sky watches in quiet anticipation, as if aware that the next day will test their hearts like never before. Morning breaks over the Riverstone Hotel with the warm promise of a new day, but Andrew Coleman hasn't slept a wink. He's spent the last few hours pacing his opulent suite, eyes drifting between the silent phone on the table and the window that frames the city's gentle sunrise. Though he's long prided himself on control and composure, something in his chest feels precariously close to unraveling. At precisely 7 o'clock, a soft knock at his door announces room service. Andrew opens it to find a polite attendant pushing a cart laden with a breakfast tray, fresh fruit, pastries, and a carafe of coffee. It's all routine, until the attendant steps aside, revealing Rebecca Donovan behind him, standing uncertainly in the hallway. Andrew's breath catches at the sight of her in daylight, hair down around her shoulders now, her suit jacket exchanged for a sleek sweater that complements her figure. "May I come in?" she asks quietly. Andrew only nods. In a matter of seconds, the attendant wheels the cart into the living area, then discreetly disappears. The door closes, leaving Andrew and Rebecca alone for the first time in nearly a decade. Neither of them speak right away. The hush between them feels dense, like a curtain drawn over painful memories. Andrew forces himself to extend a courtesy. "Would you like to sit?" His voice comes out lower, more tentative than he means it to. Rebecca folds her arms over her chest, choosing to remain standing. "I'm here to make sure you have everything you need for your stay," she begins, in that formal tone he heard last night. "We have a conference room reserved for your negotiations, breakfast arrangements each morning, and if you require any transportation—" He can't stop himself. "Why didn't you tell me?" Andrew blurts, cutting her off. His own audacity surprises him. "Rebecca, if there's something I should know, if that little girl is—" "That's not your concern," she says sharply. Her composure breaks just enough to show the flicker of anger he half expected. She lowers her voice, eyes darting to the door as though worried someone might overhear. "I have my responsibilities at the hotel, and you have your business to attend to. Whatever is done, is done." "Is she mine?" Andrew presses, heart pounding. "I saw her in the lobby last night and—" Rebecca's hand trembles at her side, but her gaze never wavers. "She's my daughter," she says, as if that's the only explanation needed. "Her name is Emily. She's 8 years old." A jolt of emotion surges through him. He does the math. 8 years, almost to the month after their final falling out. He can't believe how his world is spinning. "Rebecca, If she's mine. Stop. She exhales, forcing herself to remain calm. Don't do this here. You have no right to barge into our life. You left me, Andrew. You pursued your fortunes, never once looking back. In the silence that follows, Andrew is struck by a wave of guilt. He recalls the day he boarded a plane, convinced that success could fill the void in his chest. I didn't know, he manages, voice hushed. If I had known, I never would have. It's not that simple, Rebecca counters, pressing a hand to her temple. It's clear she's fighting to keep her anger under control. After you left, I had no way to reach you. Your phone number changed, your email bounced back, and your father's office refused to give me contact details. The times I tried, I was stonewalled. And I honestly didn't think you'd care. Andrew feels every word like a blow. His father, John Coleman, had insisted Andrew break all personal distractions when he joined the family's financial empire. He remembers his father's staff controlling Andrew's communications, telling him it was for his own good. Had they intercepted Rebecca's calls? A knot tightens in his gut. For a moment, neither speaks. The city's morning light spills into the suite, warming the rich carpet. Andrew wants to say so many things. That he does care. That he cares now more than ever. That he regrets ever leaving. But he stands there, words fumbling in his mind. Rebecca draws a trembling breath. Look, she says, glancing at her watch. I didn't come here to argue. I came because you might see Emily around the hotel, and I don't want you confronting her or confusing her. She has a good life. She's safe. Let her be. The protective note in her voice pierces Andrew's heart. The idea that his daughter, if that's truly who Emily is, has grown up without him is almost too big to grasp. Yet he also senses the fear in Rebecca. The fear that he'll hurt Emily somehow, or take her away. He softens his tone, trying to show he's not the same man who walked out 8 years ago. I'm not here to take anything from you or from her, I swear. Rebecca's guarded expression doesn't waver. Then keep your distance, she says, voice trembling slightly. Finish your deal, collect your money, and fly off to wherever the world calls you next. I can't do this again. He remembers that same look of resolve she had when they were younger. Back then it was triggered by injustice or by seeing someone hurting. Now it's directed at him. He almost can't bear it. As he opens his mouth to speak, his phone buzzes on the coffee table, the screen flashing with the number of his financial advisor. Rebecca steps back instinctively, as though reminded of all the times business took precedence over everything else in Andrew's life. I have to go, she says, turning toward the door before he can respond. I have staff meetings. Please, Andrew, do the right thing and don't interfere. With that, she slips out, leaving Andrew more conflicted than he has ever been. The hush that follows feels like a tangible presence, pressing in on him from every corner of the lavish suite. When he finally swipes to answer his phone, his advisor's voice sounds tinny and distant. Mr. Coleman? Are you ready for today's negotiations? Andrew's mouth is dry. Yes, he forces out. I'll be down in 30 minutes. He changes into a crisp navy suit, carefully knots his tie, and checks himself in the mirror. His reflection looks calm and collected. It's a lie. A swirl of regret and longing churns inside him. If he has a daughter, how can he walk away this time? Should he? Or is Rebecca right? Would his reappearance only shatter the safe life she's built for Emily? Downstairs, the Riverstone's grand ballroom has been repurposed into a conference hall for Andrew's real estate negotiations. Rows of chairs, a polished stage, and an array of refreshments create an environment suited for closing million-dollar deals. Andrew meets his associate, Mark Williamson, a lean, silver-haired man with sharp eyes. Mark leads him around, introducing him to potential partners, addressing him with the reverence typically afforded to wealth and status. "You're sure about the expansion?" Mark asks, dropping his voice when they pause near a table of coffee urns. If you invest another 10 million, your name alone will skyrocket the project's legitimacy. Andrew nods, though his mind isn't really on finances. He glances across the room, where the hotel staff meticulously arranges documents and sets out cups. He wonders if Emily is in school, and if she knows anything about him. He's snapped back to attention when Mark gestures toward a group of board members from Addison Group, an influential development firm. They want to finalize the contract. Let's make it official, Andrew. One meeting bleeds into the next. Numbers swirl in complicated spreadsheets, while the hum of conversation becomes background noise. Andrew's presence commands the room, as it always has. He's agreeable, shrewd, and polished, striking deals with his trademark composure. By midday, a hush of anticipation sweeps over the table as Mark announces the final terms. Addison Group and Coleman Enterprises will jointly fund the Riverstone's expansion, branching into new resorts across the coast. Cameras flash, capturing the moment Andrew signs the contract that cements another rung in his ladder of success. Applause breaks out. Champagne glasses are raised. Andrew forces a celebratory smile, but inside, a void grows. Every clink of glass reminds him, success is hollow if you can't share it with the ones who matter. At the edge of the ballroom, Andrew notices movement by the door. It's Rebecca, watching the tail end of the signing from a discreet distance. He wonders what she feels, seeing him claim such a monumental victory while her emotions lie raw in the open. When her gaze catches his, she turns to leave, but a sudden voice stops her. A middle-aged woman from housekeeping, leading Emily by the hand. Andrew's entire body tenses as he sees the little girl appear. She looks timid but curious, scanning the crowd of strangers in suits. Rebecca quickly bends down, probably whispering for Emily to stay away from the hustle of the business event. Andrew can't help it. His eyes lock on the child's face. She notices him, just for a second, and there's a spark of recognition in her eyes that he swears he doesn't imagine. Then Rebecca guides Emily back out into the hallway, leaving Andrew alone with the swirling thought. My daughter. A wave of conflicting emotions nearly sends him stumbling. Mark grabs Andrew's shoulder, grinning. Coleman, you did it. This is a huge day. Is everything okay? Andrew can only nod, not trusting his voice. The questions assault him. Should he try to speak with Emily? Would Rebecca ever allow it? Would Emily even want to meet him? His mind leaps ahead to future scenarios. Birthdays, a father-daughter dance, the day she asks him why he wasn't there. He doesn't know which scenario terrifies him more. Forging a relationship with a child who might resent him, or letting her slip away again without fighting for a place in her life. The applause eventually dies down, leaving the echo of Andrew's heartbeat in his ears. He's never felt so powerless. Surrounded by deals worth millions, all he can think about is a small child in the hallway, a single photograph turned face down in Rebecca's office, and the secrets that tie them together. He made a promise to himself, back when he first left this town, that he wouldn't be chained by the past. But what if the past is the only thing now worth clinging to? Andrew Coleman waits until the applause dies down and the celebratory chatter in the conference hall turns into a low hum. His eyes remain glued to the spot by the door where Rebecca and Emily disappeared just moments before. A swirl of exhilaration and turmoil churns inside him. He has locked in a multi-million-dollar expansion deal, yet his thoughts anchor only to the family he might have missed. Finally, he murmurs an apology to his associates, feigning the need for a breath of fresh air, and slips out of the ballroom. The plush-carpeted corridor feels quieter, and the faint scent of floral arrangements can't mask his own anxiety. He scans the hall, hoping to catch another glimpse of them, but the space is empty aside from a few hotel guests passing by. Andrew's phone vibrates with congratulatory messages. One text from his father, John Coleman, reads in typical curt fashion, "Heard you closed with Addison. Good work. Contact me for next steps." Andrew swallows the flare of resentment that stirs whenever he thinks of his father's relentless push for achievement. He pockets his phone, deciding that now isn't the time to respond. Instead, he strides toward the front desk, ignoring the curious stares of staff who recognize him from the earlier ceremony. An older concierge named Margaret greets him politely. "Mr. Coleman, is there anything I can help you with?" He hesitates, unsure how to phrase such a personal request. "I'm looking for Ms. Donovan," he begins carefully. "She was with—" He pauses, swallowing. "She was with a little girl. Her daughter, Emily. I'd like to speak with Ms. Donovan, if possible." Margaret's posture stiffens ever so slightly, as though she too senses something deeper swirling under Andrew's formal request. "Ms. Donovan stepped out to oversee preparations for tomorrow's corporate luncheon. She mentioned going to the courtyard behind the hotel to finalize decor with the event coordinator." "Thank you," Andrew replies. His heart picks up speed as he walks quickly toward the Riverstone's rear courtyard. He pictures a landscaped space, usually reserved for afternoon teas and garden weddings. He wonders if Emily is there as well, or if Rebecca took her away already. Once outside, the morning sun has climbed high, warming the landscaped hedges and ornate fountains. Tables are being arranged under a white canopy, staff bustling with centerpieces and linen tablecloths. Standing among them is Rebecca, issuing instructions to a florist. She's removed her suit jacket, revealing a sleeveless blouse, and her hair is pinned up in a loose bun. She looks both commanding and graceful, a testament to her role in making the Riverstone Hotel a success. Andrew's footsteps slow as he observes her from a short distance. For a moment, he just admires the scene. Rebecca has built a stable life here, forging a reputable career. It's everything he might have predicted for her, had they stayed together. Except, of course, for the mothering aspect he never anticipated she'd face alone. Sensing his presence, Rebecca turns abruptly. Her stance shifts, shoulders squaring as she recognizes him. "You're persistent," she mutters, handing off a clipboard to one of the staff members. "Could we talk privately?" Andrew asks, voice taut with anxiety. The staff looks at Rebecca uncertainly, as if awaiting further instructions, but she nods for them to continue their work. Then she gestures toward a quiet corner of the courtyard where potted plants shield them from view. A delicate rose arbor arches overhead, and the subdued trickle of a nearby fountain underscores the tension in the air. Rebecca crosses her arms, regarding Andrew with a guarded expression. "Didn't I make myself clear?" she says, her tone softer than it was that morning, though still tinged with frustration. "I asked you to keep your distance, for Emily's sake." He runs a hand across the back of his neck, trying to steady himself. "I know, but I don't think I can walk away this time, Rebecca." Her jaw clenches. "This time?" she echoes, bitterness lacing her words. "You left when I needed you most. You don't get to show up now and declare you've changed your mind. It's not that easy." His heart flares with remorse. "You're right," he admits. "It isn't easy, but I'm not the same man who walked away 8 years ago. And if Emily is my daughter—" Rebecca's eyes flash. "Don't say it like you're not sure. You know the math. I know you do." Andrew's thoughts flash back to the last morning they spent together in that dingy apartment years ago. How she was pale and nauseous, and he was too busy heading to a meeting to notice. Now he feels the weight of that regret pressing down with crippling force. "Rebecca," he says gently, "let me be part of her life, please. If she's mine, she deserves to know I exist." Her gaze flickers, as though battling an internal war. Then, quietly, she says, "I'm afraid you'll disrupt everything she understands about family. She's grown up loved and cared for. We might not be wealthy like you, but I've given her stability. She knows nothing about you, Andrew." He exhales unsteadily. "Then let me meet her, slowly, carefully. I won't push. I can't stand the thought of leaving this place without even trying to connect with my own child." She bites her lip. Conflict etches across her features. "And what happens when your business obligations pull you away again?" she challenges. "You'll vanish for another 5, 10 years? I won't let you break her heart if you're not going to stay." Andrew raises his hands as if in surrender. "I don't have an answer for that yet. My life has always been about flying from one deal to the next. But I'm telling you, I can change. If I have reason to, if I have her, then maybe it's time I slow down." For a moment, there's just the soft rush of water in the fountain and the subtle breeze carrying the scent of roses. Rebecca presses a palm to her forehead, looking almost as if she might cry. In the corner of the courtyard, a staff member calls her name, but she raises a hand to signal she'll be there soon. "You can't rush into this," she finally says, her voice wavering. "Emily's in school until mid-afternoon. After that, she usually waits in the hotel lounge or helps me with light tasks until my shift ends." She pauses, her eyes flicking up to meet Andrew's. "If you want to see her, come by around 3. I'll let her decide if she wants to speak to you." A wave of relief and trepidation hits Andrew. "Thank you," he breathes. "Rebecca, thank you." She nods, already looking as if she regrets every word. "Don't make me regret this," she warns. Then, schooling her emotions, she steps back out into the courtyard where staff await her guidance. Andrew stands under the rose arbor, half stunned by what's just transpired. He has a chance, a precarious, fragile chance, to meet his child. Glancing at his watch, he realizes it's already nearing noon. There's a luncheon in the works, and the entire hotel staff is in a flurry. He remains there for another minute, letting the hum of the fountain soothe his nerves before retracing his steps inside. The interior is vibrant with well-heeled guests drifting toward the dining area. Andrew politely nods to those who greet him, but his mind is too full to engage in small talk. He finds Mark in a corner near the main restaurant, negotiating final touches on the Addison Group partnership. Mark waves Andrew over, beaming. "This is huge, Coleman," Mark declares in a hushed tone when Andrew approaches. "The Addison folks are thrilled. We're basically unstoppable if we keep this momentum." He notices Andrew's distracted demeanor and frowns. "You all right?" Andrew musters a polite smile. "Just a lot on my mind. Everything's happening fast." Mark claps him on the shoulder. "Go get some rest. Our biggest victory's already in the bag. If you're dealing with something personal, I can hold down the fort here." He's tempted to confide in Mark, explain everything that's turned his world on its head, but he can't bring himself to. Instead, he thanks his colleague and heads to the elevator. Once in his suite, Andrew stares out at the cityscape. Down below, there's a children's park in the distance, its colorful playground equipment visible between the buildings. He wonders how many times Emily has played there, if she likes swings or slides, if she's afraid of heights. The hours crawl by. He tries to review documents for a next phase meeting, but the lines of text blur. At one point, he attempts to call his father to demand an explanation for the calls Rebecca said she made that never got through. But he can't seem to form the words, so he disconnects before the call even rings. In the late afternoon, Andrew paces the suite again, adjusting his tie, then deciding he doesn't need a tie, only to re-knot it moments later. It's absurd, he thinks. He's negotiated with billionaires and faced down entire boards of directors, yet the prospect of meeting an 8-year-old girl leaves him rattled. Finally, with an exhale that feels like it draws from his soul, he steps out of his room. Riding the elevator down, he checks the time, 2:58 p.m. He's almost early. The moment the doors slide open onto the lobby, his heart skitters. He spots Rebecca near a cluster of plush chairs. She's leaning down, whispering something to Emily, whose hair cascades over her shoulders in soft waves. Emily glances up, eyes darting around, a teddy bear clutched to her chest. She looks both expectant and unsure. Andrew emerges slowly, conscious that this moment may define their future. The staff have been told nothing, but they keep a respectful distance, sensing something personal is about to unfold. Rebecca meets Andrew's gaze with a flicker of warning in her expression, then gently nudges Emily forward. Emily's eyes lock on Andrew. He can see the questions swirling there, curiosity warring with nervousness. Andrew searches her features, her nose, the subtle arch of her eyebrows, the shape of her mouth, and sees traces of himself. The sight leaves him breathless. For the first time in his life, Andrew Coleman truly doesn't know what to say. So he does the only thing that feels right. He kneels down, meeting her at eye level. His voice trembles when he finally speaks. "Hi, Emily." Andrew kneels on the polished lobby floor, his heart thumping with a force he's never known. The gentle hum of the Riverstone Hotel's mid-afternoon bustle forms a muted backdrop, staff discreetly ushering guests, the clink of teacups from the lounge, but Andrew only notices Emily. She's small for her 8 years, her wide eyes darting between him and Rebecca. She clutches a threadbare teddy bear under one arm. Up close, Andrew can see a tiny patch on the bear's ear, a careful repair job that might have come from Rebecca's skillful hands. Emily takes a tentative step forward. A swirl of emotions flickers across her face. Curiosity, shyness, maybe even apprehension. "Hi," she says softly. Her voice has the same gentle lilt he remembers in Rebecca's, though pitched higher, touched with the innocence of a child who sees the world in simpler terms. Andrew tries to steady the tremor in his voice. "I'm Andrew," he manages. He notices that he doesn't say, "I'm your dad," because he's not sure if that's what she's been told or if that's what she wants. He can't bear to push too hard. "How was school today?" She wrinkles her nose in the universal response kids give at the mention of school. "It was okay," she murmurs. Then, drawing the teddy bear closer, she asks, "Are you here on business? Mommy said you do business things." His throat tightens at the mention of Mommy, but he forces a smile. "Yes, I'm here for work, but I'm also here to see you." Glancing up, he catches Rebecca watching from a few feet away, her posture rigid with protective tension. Emily tilts her head, studying Andrew with unwavering directness. "Why?" she asks, in the matter-of-fact tone only a child can muster. Andrew feels the weight of the question like a stone in his chest. How to explain a decade of absence in a way that doesn't make him look heartless or confuse her further. "I knew your mom a long time ago," he says carefully, leaving unsaid the part where he walked out of that life. "And I've been gone, but now I'm back. I guess I wanted to meet you. Maybe spend some time together if you want." She shifts her grip on the teddy. "What if I don't want to?" she says. There's no malice in her words, just a straightforward question. Andrew's heart lurches. Then I'd understand," he says. "I won't make you do anything you don't want to do." That seems to satisfy Emily, or at least reduce some of the tension in her small shoulders. She looks over at Rebecca as if seeking confirmation. Her mother offers a slight nod, stepping closer. "Emily," Rebecca says softly, "I told you that Andrew was a friend from the past and he'd like to say hello. Remember I said we can just talk a little and see how you feel?" Emily nods, then surprises Andrew by asking, "Where do you live?" "Mostly in New York," Andrew replies, "though I travel a lot for work." "Have you been to Disney World?" she continues, and Andrew senses a flicker of excitement overshadow the shyness in her tone, the kind of excitement kids get when they think about an enchanted place. Andrew smiles, relieved by her openness. "I have. A couple of times, actually." He glances at Rebecca, recalling how, when they were younger, Rebecca once spoke about wanting to take her future children to places she never got to experience as a kid. "Have you gone yet?" Emily shakes her head, hugging her bear tighter. "Mommy says maybe when I'm older, or if we save enough." She hesitates, then blurts out, "I'm saving for it in my piggy bank." Andrew's chest clenches. In his world of million-dollar deals, the idea that Emily has to patiently save up resonates more than he wants to admit. He nods solemnly. I hope you get to go soon. Rebecca, lingering at the edge of the conversation, clears her throat. Okay, Emily, why don't we take a seat over there? She points to a plush seating area beside a tall, potted palm. They all move to the chairs. Andrew and Emily on a love seat, Rebecca perched in an armchair opposite, arms folded. Andrew settles in, noticing how Emily keeps a few inches between them on the cushion, as if testing how comfortable she is around him. She's scanning his face with an intensity that both warms and unnerves him. Does she see the resemblance she might share with him? Emily, Andrew ventures, do you have any hobbies or a favorite activity after school? She taps her chin thoughtfully. I like coloring and painting. Sometimes I help the hotel florist arrange little bouquets. Oh, and I like to watch cartoon movies when I have free time, especially the ones with princesses. She smiles, a shy dimple forming at the corner of her mouth, and Andrew's heart almost bursts. He recognizes that dimple from photos of himself as a child. That sounds fun, he says. You must be quite creative. He opens his mouth to say more, but before he can ask another question, a text chimes in from his phone. He winces, quickly silencing it, remembering how every interruption from the outside world used to yank him away from important moments. But Emily's attention shifts at the noise. Do you have to go? She asks quietly. Andrew's voice is gentle. No, I don't. Not right now. Rebecca's expression flickers at his response. There's a mixture of caution and, perhaps, a small ember of hope. Emily, she says softly, Andrew might be here for a few days. Maybe, if you'd like, he could join us for dinner tonight. Just for a little while. We can keep it casual. Andrew's eyes snap to Rebecca's. He can tell she's making a monumental effort to extend an olive branch. His chest tightens with gratitude and a surge of longing for what this could mean. I'd love that, he says, his voice thick with emotion. Only if Emily wants it, of course. Emily presses her lips together, studying him. The childlike innocence in her gaze is laced with the wariness that comes from having only known life with her mother. You're not gonna leave early, right? She asks. Her question rips at Andrew's conscience. He sets his phone aside completely. I promise I'll be there, he says. No phone calls, no meetings. Rebecca stands, checking the time on her wristwatch. All right, she says briskly. I need to finalize the decor check for tomorrow's event. Emily, you go with Mrs. Harding for your piano lesson, okay? Emily nods. She turns to Andrew, offering a tentative wave. Bye? He waves back, feeling a swirl of tenderness unlike anything he's experienced. As Emily trots off to join a kindly older woman waiting near the elevator, Andrew rises to his feet. It's now just him and Rebecca in the hush of the lobby seating area. He speaks quietly so only she can hear, mindful of staff and guests passing by. Thank you. Thank you for letting me see her. Rebecca exhales shakily. I don't know what I'm doing, she admits. Part of me wants to shut you out. But she deserves the chance to know you if you're going to be present and not just vanish again. Andrew fights the urge to take her hand. He's not sure if he has that right anymore. I won't vanish, he says. Not from her. I know I can't undo the past, but I want to be in her life if you'll let me. Maybe both of your lives. Her face clouds. One step at a time, Andrew. Let's see if you keep your word tonight. We'll have dinner in the staff dining room at 6:30. It's nothing fancy, but we can sit quietly, away from the crowds. He nods, feeling a glimmer of optimism. I'll be there. Rebecca gives a final brief nod and heads off to her duties, leaving Andrew alone. He sinks back into the love seat, his mind buzzing. He replays every detail of Emily's voice, her expressions, the questions she asked. A protective surge runs through him. For the first time since he was a teenager, Andrew feels an impulse to be part of something other than his own ambition. Eventually, Andrew notices Mark in the distance, peering around. probably looking for him to finalize another contract detail or greet a new investor. The old Andrew would have jumped at the chance to talk shop. Now, Andrew just feels a strange impatience. He needs to get everything in order so he can free up his evening. He wants to be with Emily, to learn more about her life, her likes, her dreams. He crosses the lobby to meet Mark, mind already juggling the tasks he must complete before dinner. As they stroll toward one of the event rooms, Mark raises an eyebrow. "You look different," he comments. Refreshed, almost. Not the usual post-deal Andrew I'm used to. "Everything all right?" Andrew gives an ambiguous smile. "I'm fine," he says simply. "Just focusing on something more important than numbers right now." Mark quirks a grin, nudging him. "Uh-oh, this is new territory. I've known you for years, and you've never once hinted that anything could trump business." He lowers his voice conspiratorially. "Are you falling for that gorgeous general manager by any chance? I've seen the way you watch her." Andrew tenses, deciding to keep the real details private. "It's complicated," he says, letting Mark's speculation hang without correction. "But yes, let's just say there's something personal involved." Mark regards him thoughtfully. "Well, if you need any help or cover, let me know," he jokes. But Andrew can sense genuine curiosity behind his friend's eyes. "Just remember, we still have a dinner scheduled with Addison's people, so we can't vanish entirely." Andrew stiffens. He'd forgotten about the dinner with Addison Group. It was arranged as a celebration of their partnership, scheduled for 7 o'clock at the Riverstone's fine dining restaurant, right when he's supposed to meet Rebecca and Emily. He tries to mask his disappointment. "We can't reschedule?" he asks. Mark shakes his head apologetically. "They're in town just for tonight. Tomorrow they fly out. This is meant to finalize some last-minute PR details and sign those secondary documents we forgot earlier. Besides, Addison's a key partner. We shouldn't risk disrespecting them." Andrew feels torn. He promised Emily he'd be there at 6:30 with no interruptions. The image of her hopeful face floods his mind. "I'll figure something out," he murmurs, though he's not sure what. He steps away from Mark momentarily, retrieving his phone to check the time. It's nearly 4:30. In 2 hours, Emily expects him. But Addison's dinner is at 7. Maybe he can juggle it. Show up for dinner with Emily right at 6:30, spend some time, and then slip away to Addison's dinner. Yet that would mean leaving early, breaking the promise he made to Emily. The conflict gnaws at him. Taking a moment, Andrew composes himself. He must try to find a compromise. He can't afford to alienate Addison Group. This is one of the biggest deals of his career. At the same time, how can he break a promise to an 8-year-old girl who might be his own daughter? He draws in a steadying breath. There's no easy solution, but maybe he can be honest with Rebecca. If she allows him an earlier dinner or a quick visit, perhaps it won't seem like he's bailing out. Then again, that's exactly what it might look like he's leaving Emily for business once again. His phone buzzes with a text from his father. "Proud of the Addison deal. Make sure you secure everything tonight. No loose ends." Andrew ignores the lump in his throat. That text is a painful reminder of how often duty overshadowed family in his life before. Squaring his shoulders, Andrew heads deeper into the event room to finalize arrangements with Mark. One thing is certain. He won't let Emily down again, no matter the cost. The only question is how he'll keep that promise when the demands of his old world keep tugging him back. 2 hours stretch like a thin wire, threatening to snap under the pressure. Andrew clings to the fragile hope that somehow he can be true to both obligations, if he can just find a way. But with each tick of the clock, he knows that if he fails, he risks losing the child he never knew he had. Forever. At 5 o'clock, Andrew Coleman steps out of the meeting with Mark feeling as though a vice is gripping his chest. The Addison Group dinner at 7 is now carved in stone, catered, scheduled, and locked into the diaries of several influential executives. Any attempt to reschedule would risk souring one of the most important partnerships he's ever landed. Yet Emily is waiting for him at 6:30. He promised her, promised to show up, to stay, to prove that she matters more than any business deal. As he strides across the hotel's ornate lobby, his thoughts spin. Is there any chance to unify these two worlds? Or will he be forced once again to choose business over family and shatter the fragile trust he's just beginning to build with Emily? His heartbeat hammers in his ears as he spies Rebecca standing near the front desk, reviewing papers with a staff member. A pang of guilt flares. He should tell her about the scheduling conflict. But how to explain without sounding like the same old Andrew who always puts work first? Steeling himself, he approaches. "Rebecca," he says softly, waiting for her to finish signing a document for the young desk attendant. She glances up, eyes betraying a hint of impatience. "Yes," she says, handing the paper back to the staffer before turning to Andrew. He fumbles for the right words. "I wanted to confirm our dinner plans, but I have a problem," he admits, trying to keep his voice low and steady. "There's a business dinner at 7 that I absolutely can't miss. Addison Group. We just signed a massive deal and they're flying out tomorrow." Rebecca's expression darkens. "So you're backing out?" "No, I don't want to back out," Andrew rushes to clarify. "I was hoping maybe we could move our dinner up a bit. If we start earlier, I could still spend some time with Emily before I—" He stops, seeing the disappointment flicker across Rebecca's face. The last thing he wants is to repeat old patterns. "Look, I know how this sounds, but it's not just a typical dinner. It's critical to finalize some contracts." Rebecca's shoulders sag imperceptibly. She glances around to make sure no guests overhear, then takes a step closer, voice taut. "This is exactly what I worried about. The second business beckons. You're gone." Andrew shakes his head. "No, not gone, I promise. Give me half an hour with Emily at least, maybe from 6 to 6:30. Then I'll come back after the Addison dinner, or tomorrow, or whenever she wants. I'm trying to keep my promise the best I can." She inhales slowly, clearly battling a mix of frustration and pity. "Emily?" "She's excited, Andrew. You saw how she lit up when you started asking about her hobbies. If you walk away after half an hour, what message does that send?" His stomach twists. "I know, but it's either that or not come at all, and I can't do that to her either. At least let me see her, give me a chance to explain. Maybe we can color together, or chat. Then I'll go to my meeting and come back as soon as I can." He adds quietly, "I want her to understand that I'm not just disappearing. I'm doing something I have to do. And that afterward, I'll be right back here." Rebecca presses a hand against her forehead. The swirl of feelings in her eyes makes him ache. He's causing her pain again, despite his best intentions. At last she relents, her voice tinged with resignation. "Fine. I'll tell her we'll start dinner at 6. But if she's upset that you can't stay, you'll have to handle that. I'm not going to cushion the blow." Andrew nods, relief mingling with dread. "I understand." She regards him for a moment longer, her gaze searching. "I hope you do," she says, then turns to walk away, her footsteps echoing against the marble. In the next hour, Andrew tries to tie up any lingering tasks so he won't be distracted. He forwards documents to Mark, explaining he'll attend Addison's dinner right at 7, but he must leave promptly by 6. Mark gives him a quizzical look, but shrugs. "All right, just don't be late to the restaurant or Addison might interpret it as disrespect." At 5:45, Andrew returns to his suite, changes into a more casual but still neat shirt, and glances at himself in the mirror. He rarely sees tension etched into his reflection like this. Memories stream through his mind, flashes of the day he left Rebecca, the fights, the phone calls he never answered. Now, he sees a chance to rewrite the story, but the weight of the Addison dinner threatens to overshadow it. 6 o'clock arrives too quickly. Andrew heads to the staff dining room, an area typically reserved for hotel employees to grab quick meals. The ambiance is simple. Standard tables, plain chairs, no ornate centerpieces, still clean and welcoming in a homely way. The hush inside contrasts starkly with the vibrant hustle just outside, where guests pass in the corridor, oblivious to this quiet corner. Rebecca stands off to the side, scanning the room as Andrew enters. She's dressed in a business casual outfit, black slacks and a soft blue blouse. Her eyes flick to him, then to a table in the corner where Emily sits, legs swinging over the edge of the chair. A small plate of fruit and a glass of juice rest in front of her. The moment Emily notices Andrew, she waves shyly. He approaches, offering a gentle smile. "Hey, Emily," he greets, sitting across from her. "Thanks for letting me have dinner with you." She nods. "Mommy said you have a fancy dinner after this. Are you a little hungry right now?" She sounds more curious than accusing, but Andrew's heart constricts at the reminder of his predicament. He forces a bright tone. "I'm hungry for some time with you," he says, glancing at Rebecca, who lingers behind Emily with folded arms. "What's on the menu tonight?" Emily pushes forward a small piece of paper where she's drawn a menu with colored markers. "Today's staff meal is spaghetti and garlic bread," she proclaims, as if reciting from a 5-star menu. "You want some?" Andrew chuckles, touched by her enthusiasm. "That sounds perfect." He catches Rebecca's expression, guarded, cautious. He senses her silent warning, "Don't break her heart." They start their simple dinner. The spaghetti is modest but comforting, steam rising from fresh noodles. The three of them eat quietly at first, but Emily breaks the ice. She chatters about her day at school, her teacher's new math games, a friend's upcoming birthday party, and her own excitement about summer break. Andrew listens, enraptured by her bright-eyed innocence. Every so often, Rebecca offers clarifications, like how Emily excels at art but struggles with swimming lessons. "We go to the public pool on weekends," Rebecca explains, swirling spaghetti around her fork. "Emily's improving, but we're taking it slow." Emily nods, chewing thoughtfully. Then she eyes Andrew. "Do you swim?" He nods, swallowing his own mouthful of pasta. "I do, though I'm not an expert. Maybe we can practice together sometime if it's okay with your mom." For a moment, Emily's smile lights the room. Then her gaze falls to the clock on the wall, a humble analog clock with a second hand ticking away. It's 6:20. She wrinkles her nose. "Mommy said you have to leave soon." A painful hush settles over the table. Andrew can almost feel Rebecca's tension. He sets down his fork. "Yes, I do," he admits, gentling his tone. "I have a meeting with some people for work, but I'll be back later tonight if you're still awake, or early tomorrow if not. I promise, Emily. I'm not leaving for good." She looks down at her plate. "Okay," she whispers. "People at the hotel come and go a lot. It's normal." Andrew's chest tightens at her resigned acceptance. He wants to promise her the world, but he knows grandiose words mean little if he can't back them up. A wave of guilt washes over him. He's repeating the same pattern he swore he wouldn't. Yet he steels himself, reminding his conscience that Addison Group is vital for his business, that this decision ensures a future not just for himself but perhaps for Emily if she ever needs support. He glances at Rebecca, whose eyes brim with concern. She steps in, placing a hand on Emily's shoulder. "Sweetheart," she says gently. "Andrew might be really busy tonight, but he'll come by tomorrow, right?" Her gaze turns pointedly to him, demanding confirmation. "I will," Andrew affirms, forcing a confident smile toward Emily. "First thing in the morning, if you want. We can maybe have breakfast together. Maybe we'll draw or talk more about your school. Whatever you'd like." Emily nods, not fully reassured but seemingly willing to trust him one more step. "Okay. Just promise you won't forget." He leans in, keeping his voice low. "I promise," he says, feeling the gravity of those words press against his chest. He wonders if Emily can sense how important this is to him. The clock reads 6:25 when Andrew's phone vibrates. A reminder from Mark. Addison dinner in 30 minutes. Don't be late. Andrew tenses. Time is up. He slides his phone back, exhaling. Standing, he wipes his mouth with a napkin. He forces a gentle tone. I have to go, he murmurs. Emily, thank you for having dinner with me. I had a really nice time. She lifts her face, eyes wide and earnest. Me too, she says softly, hugging her teddy bear. Rebecca rises as well. I'll walk you out, she says tersely. Together they step away from Emily, who remains seated fiddling with her food. Andrew's chest pangs with regret, seeing how quickly the light in her eyes has dimmed. Once they're a few steps from the table, Rebecca whirls on him. Her voice is hushed but fervent. You see what this does to her? She's trying to be brave, but she's worried you're never coming back. You're leaving exactly like before. Andrew rakes a hand through his hair, torn between frustration and remorse. I'm not the same man I was. I'll come back tonight if I can, or tomorrow morning for sure. Please believe me. She studies him a long moment, then sighs. Just don't make promises you can't keep. The next time you say you'll be somewhere, be there. With that, she steps away, returning to Emily, who's already looking lost without the conversation that brightened her evening. Andrew watches from a distance, heart heavy. He forces himself to pivot toward the corridor, heading to meet Addison's group in the main dining room. As he exits the staff wing, passing through a set of swinging doors into the elegantly lit public restaurant area, he glances back once more. He can't see Emily now, she's out of view, but he senses the heartbreak he's left behind. The revelation that she's accustomed to people coming and going at the hotel stings. Andrew vows that he'll be different. He has to be. 10 minutes later, Andrew stands at the entrance of the Riverstone's fine dining restaurant, an entirely different world. Gilded chandeliers, linen-draped tables, the murmur of polite conversation. It's all a refined setting fit for million-dollar deals. Mark and the Addison executives are already seated, sipping wine, scanning menus. They greet Andrew with polite smiles, expecting him to be the confident, charming businessman they know. Yet inside, he feels anything but whole. He forces a gracious smile and slides into a chair, ignoring the hollow ache that won't subside. The Addison representative starts discussing contract details, but Andrew's mind drifts to Emily's quiet, okay, and the way she stared down at her spaghetti. The night wears on, filled with numbers and potential expansions. Andrew responds automatically, well-versed in corporate speak. But every tick of the second hand on his watch drags him further from the only place he truly wants to be, at Emily's side, proving he's different, that he won't vanish. Tonight's dinner is crucial for his company's future. Yet a lingering question echoes in his mind. If he keeps sacrificing moments with his daughter for the sake of success, will he lose her before he truly has a chance to be her father? He pushes his glass of sparkling water aside, swallowing a mixture of regret and determination. No matter how this meeting ends, Andrew vows to head back to that staff dining room or to their suite, wherever Emily might be, just to show her he meant what he said. Business might rule his world, but it isn't the only thing that matters anymore. He'll do whatever it takes to make sure she knows that. 40 minutes into the Addison Group dinner, Andrew feels like he's on autopilot. Polite laughter, corporate pleasantries, and talk of future ventures swirl around him. The clink of silverware on fine china echoes through the restaurant's subdued ambiance, each metallic tap reminding him of the ticking clock. He offers the occasional comment, business-savvy, controlled, but his thoughts remain anchored on Emily's tentative gaze from dinner barely an hour ago. A roast duck entree is placed in front of him. He picks at it, forcing himself to look engaged. Across the table, Addison's lead executive, a poised woman named Elaine, discusses potential joint branding opportunities. Mark leans in, enthralled. Every mention of expansion sets his eyes gleaming. Normally, Andrew would match that excitement, capitalizing on each angle to ensure a profitable partnership. But tonight, a hollow feeling settles in the pit of his stomach. He steals a glance at the time on his phone, 7:40 p.m. If he hurried, he could slip out and check in on Emily, maybe even see if she's still awake. He imagines the staff dining room empty now, lights dimmed, with only traces of that hurried spaghetti meal remaining. Guilt claws at him. She trusted him to return soon, or at least tomorrow. Is it too late to make a surprise appearance? Andrew? Elaine's question snaps him back to the present. She's waiting for his input. Mark casts him a curious look as well, sensing his distraction. He sets his fork down, quickly composing himself. "I'm sorry. My mind wandered," he says, attempting a mild laugh. "Could you repeat that last part?" Elaine arches an eyebrow but smiles. "We were discussing the timing for launching a joint PR campaign. If we synchronize our announcements with the upcoming real estate conference, we could generate a wave of positive media." Andrew nods, forcing his strategist's mindset to the forefront. "That makes sense. We'll need solid visuals and a clear narrative, why we're expanding, what value we're bringing. Perhaps we can tie in sustainability or community support angles." Even as he speaks, he's picturing Emily's small fingers clutching her teddy bear, the way her eyes softened when he mentioned swimming lessons. Elaine seems pleased by his response. "Exactly. We want the public to see this partnership as innovative and community-friendly. If you can—" Andrew's phone buzzes. He discreetly glances at the screen. It's a text from Rebecca. "Emily's asleep. She waited to see if you'd come back, but it's late for her. She asked if you could meet us for breakfast. 7:30 a.m. in the staff dining room if you can manage it." His heart sinks, picturing Emily dozing off with disappointment lingering in her little heart. He can't blame Rebecca for the matter-of-fact tone. She's simply relaying that another opportunity to keep his promise has passed. "Andrew?" Mark's voice prompts him again, and Andrew realizes he's gripping his phone a bit too tightly. "Apologies," he says, clearing his throat. "Yes, the PR campaign. Let's map out a schedule. After all, timing is everything." Conversation continues, but Andrew sends a quick reply to Rebecca, careful not to be spotted tapping away too openly. "I'm so sorry. I'll be there at 7:30 a.m. "Thank you." He slips the phone away, feeling a weight pressing down on him. He missed his chance to drop by tonight. Now he must wake early to salvage a shred of trust. Although part of him wonders if Emily is already losing faith in his words. The meeting drags on. By the time the dessert, an elegant array of miniature pastries, arrives, Andrew has hardly touched his entree. Elaine and Mark steer the discussion toward finalizing a timeline for their new resort launches. Andrew signs off on strategic points, half listening, half counting the minutes until he can politely excuse himself. Finally, at just past 9, Elaine thanks everyone for coming and invites them to a cocktail hour at the lounge. Mark glances at Andrew expectantly as though waiting for him to seal the night's goodwill by joining them. But Andrew stands, gathering his jacket. "I'll have to take a rain check, Elaine," he says politely, shaking her hand. "Early morning obligations. We can continue tomorrow if you'd like." Elaine smiles graciously. "Of course, Andrew. Thank you for a productive night." Mark narrows his eyes as Andrew steps away. "Everything all right?" he asks in a low voice. Andrew just nods. "I need to be somewhere early, and I won't keep Emily waiting again," he thinks but doesn't say. Aloud, he simply mutters, "Just some personal commitments. Thanks for covering tonight." Without waiting for Mark's retort, Andrew heads into the hallway. The guilt from missing Emily weighs heavily, and though she's already asleep, he feels compelled to head to the staff quarters anyway, perhaps just to see Rebecca, try to offer some explanation. A fleeting part of him wonders if there's a chance Emily might still be awake or maybe dozing in a place where he can tuck her in. That thought spurs him forward. Navigating through the quieter back corridors, he finally reaches the staff wing. The overhead fluorescent lights give the hallway a softer, more subdued glow than the main lobby's grand illumination. Most employees have either returned to their posts or gone home, leaving the space nearly empty. He peeks into the staff dining room to find it dimmed, chairs stacked, and not a soul in sight. Defeat creeps in, but he doesn't stop. He spots a faint light from the break room. Pushing the door open, he finds a lone figure, Rebecca, leaning over a desk with a lamp shining on some papers. She looks exhausted, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, dark smudges under her eyes. The moment Andrew steps inside, she stiffens, eyes flicking up. "Oh," she says, voice taut with fatigue, "you're still here." He sighs. I wanted to check on Emily, see if maybe she was still awake." Rebecca sets down her pen. "She's asleep in my office. She wanted to wait for you, but around 8:30 she started yawning. I put on a short movie for her, but she barely made it 10 minutes. I carried her in there to lie down." Andrew's heart lurches. "I wish I could have come sooner. The Addison people—" She waves a hand, cutting him off. "I'm too tired to argue right now, Andrew. I get that your work is important and I'm not going to drag you over coals for it." But Emily was disappointed. She didn't cry or anything, just got quiet and asked if she could wait a little longer. Then she fell asleep. He steps closer, voice low with remorse. "I'm sorry. I really did want to come earlier, but I promise I'll be here for breakfast at 7:30. Rebecca studies him. "So you got my text?" He nods. "Yes, thank you for letting me know, and—" He hesitates, not sure how to phrase his request. "Is there any chance I can see her tonight? Even just briefly, so she knows I showed up?" Rebecca's face softens, but caution lingers. "She's out cold, Andrew. She's a heavy sleeper. You might not get much reaction. But if you want to see her for your own conscience, she's in my office." She stands, picking up a ring of keys. "I'll show you." Silently, they walk through another corridor. The hush so pronounced Andrew can hear the faint hum of the building's ventilation. Rebecca stops at a small office door, carefully pushes it open, and motions for Andrew to follow. A lamp with a low-watt bulb illuminates the space. Behind a modest wooden desk on a small sofa, Emily sleeps curled up with her teddy bear. The sight nearly breaks Andrew's heart. Her mouth slightly parted, lashes resting on her cheeks, the teddy's paw cradled against her chin. Rebecca stands at the threshold, letting Andrew step closer. He lowers himself onto one knee by the sofa, swallowing the knot in his throat. In slumber, Emily appears younger, more vulnerable. A pang of regret strikes him. He's missed countless bedtime stories and kisses goodnight. Moments that can never be recaptured. He brushes a strand of hair off Emily's forehead, whispering, "I'm sorry, sweetheart." She stirs faintly but doesn't wake. The teddy bear slips from her grasp, so Andrew gently tucks it back into her arms. For a moment, he just watches her breathe, as though memorizing each soft inhale and exhale. At last, he stands, turning to see Rebecca watching him from the door, arms crossed. Her expression is inscrutable. Andrew steps out, letting Rebecca close the door gently. In the corridor, he musters the courage to ask, "Will you let me take you both to dinner tomorrow? Somewhere outside the hotel, something fun? Maybe an early dinner, so we're not scrambling?" Rebecca hesitates. "Emily has school and I have shift changes. I can't promise anything yet, but maybe. Let's see how breakfast goes." She pauses, then adds, "I appreciate you coming tonight, even if it's late." He rubs the back of his neck, feeling the weight of all the lost time. "Thanks for letting me see her. I won't let tomorrow's breakfast slip. I'll be here." Rebecca nods, and for a fleeting instant her gaze shows the tiniest glimmer of hope. "Good night, Andrew." He echoes the words, watching her head back into the office. For a few seconds he remains in the empty corridor, the hush pressing in. There's a painful longing in his chest. He wants to scoop Emily into his arms and hold her, assure her he'll never leave. But he knows it's too soon for such gestures, and he's not entitled to them yet. Later, alone in his lavish penthouse suite, Andrew shrugs off his jacket. He's too restless to sleep. He strolls to the window, gazing out over the city lights. It's well past 10, and he knows the Addison folks are probably still mingling in the lounge, celebrating the new partnership. In his younger days, he would have joined them enthusiastically, networking until the wee hours. Now, all he can think of is the small figure asleep on a sofa in her mother's cramped office, trusting, if only slightly, that he'll come back tomorrow morning. He vows to himself that this time his family won't come second. No matter the hurdles or how many times he's pulled away by the corporate world, he'll find a balance. Andrew drags a chair over by the window, letting the distant glow of traffic lull him into reflection. Tomorrow is a new day, another chance to show Emily and Rebecca that he's done being absent. The question is whether they'll allow him into their lives once the dust settles. He leans his head back, staring at the ceiling. He's spent years building an empire, but as he sits here, all he cares about is one little girl's trust. And he'll do whatever it takes to earn it, even if it means dismantling the walls he's built around himself and his ambitions for so long. With that resolve burning in his heart, Andrew closes his eyes, preparing for the morning, unsure if it's fear or hope that thrums most powerfully in his veins. Morning breaks with soft rays filtering through the penthouse windows. Andrew wakes before his alarm, heart thumping in a mix of nerves and anticipation. It's only 6:30, but he's already dressed in dark slacks and a simple button-down, no tie, hoping to seem more approachable. Last night's resolve still burns in his chest. He will not fail Emily this time. He arrives at the staff dining room at 7:20, a full 10 minutes early. But the room is empty. No sign of Rebecca or Emily. He finds a table in the corner and settles in, eyes flicking anxiously to the door each time a staff member passes by. They mostly give him polite nods, no one lingering or asking questions. Finally, at 7:33, the door swings open. Emily bounds in, ponytail swishing. Rebecca follows behind, looking a little bleary-eyed, as though she hasn't had much sleep. The moment Emily spots Andrew, her expression brightens, though it's tinged with a trace of caution, as if she's reminding herself to be sure he's real, that he's truly here. Andrew stands, offering a smile. "Morning?" he greets, forcing himself not to sound too eager. "Did you both sleep well?" Rebecca offers a polite nod. Emily grins shyly. "Mommy said you came last night after I fell asleep." He breathes a quiet sigh of relief that Rebecca told her. "I did," he confirms softly. "I wanted you to know I kept my word. You looked peaceful, so I didn't want to wake you." Emily heads straight for the buffet setup where the staff has laid out simple breakfast items, scrambled eggs, toast, fruit salad. She pulls a plate from the stack. Andrew follows at a respectful distance, letting her set the tone. They fill their plates. Emily scoops some strawberries and a muffin. Rebecca grabs a small portion of eggs, while Andrew selects a modest array of fruit and toast. The atmosphere is calm, still wrapped in early morning hush. Settling at the same table as last night, Emily wastes no time digging into her muffin. Between bites, she announces, "There's a school art project I'm doing. We get to paint a big picture for the cafeteria walls. I'm painting flowers." Andrew smiles. "I bet you're a great painter. Maybe I can see your artwork sometime?" She nods excitedly, cheeks rosy. "Maybe. You can come to the school art show in a couple weeks if you're still in town." Rebecca glances at Andrew, a silent question in her eyes. "Will you be around? Or off chasing another deal?" Andrew answers quickly, "I'd love to be here, if your mom says it's okay." Emily's face lights up. "Cool. The show's on a Wednesday night. There'll be cookies and punch." Andrew can't help the chuckle that slips out. Cookies and punch. Simple things that, in his corporate life, he rarely savors. He's about to ask more about her painting when a hush falls, and he realizes Emily's attention drifts behind him. Following her gaze, he spots a towering stack of rolled linen cart covers near the staff entrance. But that's not what's captured Emily's eyes. A maid passes by holding a bouquet of fresh flowers, presumably headed to decorate one of the guest lounges. Emily sighs. I love flowers. I help the florist sometimes, but we can't pick them from the hotel gardens. They're for decoration only. Andrew senses an opportunity. Well, he says, wiping his mouth with a napkin, if you like flowers, maybe later we could visit a nearby park or a greenhouse where they have gardens open to the public. Is that something you'd like? Emily's whole face brightens, but then she looks quickly to Rebecca. Mommy? Rebecca hesitates, eyes flicking between Andrew and Emily. I work until 4, she begins. Emily has school until 3. I can't go with you before that. Andrew shifts in his seat, trying to respect boundaries. That's all right. We can wait until you finish. Or, if you're comfortable, I could pick Emily up from school. Rebecca's sudden, resolute headshake stops him mid-sentence. No, not yet. She's not used to you, and I'm not prepared to explain it to her teacher. Plus, I don't know your schedule. Let's hold off on that. He senses the maternal protectiveness in her tone and backs off. I understand, he says softly. Another time, then, when you're free. Emily's expression falls a bit, but Rebecca quickly suggests, maybe we can all go this weekend, if Andrew is still here. We can drive somewhere together, take a small picnic. There's a botanical garden about 30 minutes away. Andrew grabs onto the idea like a lifeline. That sounds wonderful, he says earnestly. I'd love that. They continue eating, talking about everyday things. Emily's laughter rings out now and then, especially when she mimics her school friend's silly dance. Andrew savors each moment. At one point, he catches Rebecca watching him. There's guarded relief in her expression, like she's surprised he actually showed up, and even more surprised to see him trying to connect with Emily in a genuine way. Half an hour zips by. As plates empty, staff drift in and out, preparing for another busy day at the hotel. Andrew notices Emily fidgeting with her backpack at her feet. Got big tests today? He teases gently. She shrugs. Just math practice. It's kind of easy. I like art better. He nods, sipping the last of his orange juice. I was never great at math either, but it became part of my job. You'd be surprised how you can learn to like things you didn't expect. Emily wrinkles her nose as if unconvinced. Then she leans forward, resting her chin on her hands. Are you leaving again today? His heart sinks at her question. She's so direct, so honest. I'm not sure yet. I might have meetings, but I'll be here through the weekend at least, and I want to see you as much as possible. She exhales, relieved. Okay, Mommy says sometimes people leave the hotel and never come back. I don't want you to do that. Andrew feels the weight of her words, guilt stabbing his chest. He risks a quick glance at Rebecca, who closes her eyes briefly, pained. I won't, he vows. I promise you, Emily, I won't disappear. Emily, Rebecca interjects gently, standing and clearing her plate. We need to go if you want to be on time for school. She beckons for her daughter to gather her things. Andrew stands as well, unsure how to say goodbye. Emily picks up her backpack, hesitates, then edges closer. She casts a shy glance at her mom before she speaks. Can I give you a hug? A rush of emotion floods Andrew's heart. He kneels slightly to her level. Of course, he manages, voice thick. Emily steps in, wrapping small arms around his middle. The hug is brief but meaningful, and Andrew closes his eyes, overwhelmed by the moment. She smells faintly of strawberry shampoo and hope. When she pulls away, he gently brushes a strand of hair behind her ear. Have a great day at school, okay? She nods. You have a good day too. Don't forget to do your meetings, she adds, her expression unexpectedly wise. Then she scampers over to Rebecca's side. Rebecca picks up her purse, her posture tense, but her gaze softer than before. I'll see you around, she tells Andrew. I'll text you about this weekend if it still works." He nods, trying not to sound too eager. "Please do, and thank you for letting me have this morning with her." She offers a tight smile, then turns to guide Emily out of the dining room. Emily waves once more from the doorway, and then they're gone. The hush that remains feels both oddly peaceful and painfully empty. Andrew sinks back onto the chair, exhaling shakily. A swirl of relief and longing tangles in his chest. He's done it. He's kept a promise, however small. He shared a meal, earned a moment of connection, even got a hug. But a quiet voice in his mind warns that this is just the start. A swirl of responsibilities waits for him too. Mark likely has more business tasks lined up, the Addison partnership is still in its early stages, and Andrew's father expects continual updates. Balancing all of that with his newfound commitment to Emily won't be simple. Yet for the first time in years, he feels a renewed sense of purpose that transcends profit margins. He stands, gathering his empty plate and dropping it off at the dish station. As he heads out of the staff dining room, Andrew's phone buzzes, a reminder from Mark about a planning session scheduled for 9. Normally, he'd hurry to get ready, double-check notes, and be in full business mode. Instead, he finds himself striding through the corridor at a more measured pace, mind still on Emily's warm hug. The corners of his mouth lift into a private smile. For once, he refuses to let corporate obligations obliterate the tenderness of this morning. In the lobby, guests mill about, checking out or hurrying to breakfast. Hotel staff greet him politely, but Andrew barely registers them. He can't erase the image of Emily's hesitant smile and the subtle relief on Rebecca's face. That tiny step forward feels monumental, like he's no longer on the outside looking in. He's edging closer to a place in their lives. He breathes a silent prayer that nothing will yank him away prematurely. Because if there's one thing he's certain of now, it's that leaving them behind again is no longer an option he can bear. For the rest of the morning, Andrew juggles business meetings with a lighter heart than usual. Whenever Mark questions why he's distracted, Andrew just smiles vaguely and insists it's nothing to worry about. Though the Addison deal still dominates much of his schedule, he finds small moments to check his phone, half expecting and half hoping for a message from Rebecca about their potential weekend outing. By noon, he's wrapped up a lengthy planning session regarding the Riverstone's future renovations. Mark's voice trails off in the conference room, finally giving Andrew a moment to breathe. "You seem different," Mark remarks, closing a file of documents. "Calmer, even in the midst of all this chaos." Andrew gives a rueful smile. "I guess I am." He hesitates before adding quietly, "I'm trying to focus on something more personal. It's been a while since I gave that side of my life any real attention." Mark seems taken aback, but genuinely curious. "Well, good for you. If you ask me, you've worked nonstop for ages. You deserve a life outside these boardrooms." He gathers the final handouts, clearing his throat. "Since we're done here, take an afternoon off if you want. I can hold the fort until your father's next check-in." Andrew's gratitude surges. He can't recall the last time Mark offered him a chance to step away without some pressing reason. "Thanks, Mark," he says. "I might do that." Stepping out of the conference room, Andrew's mind shifts back to Emily. He recalls her expression when she talked about flowers, how she lit up at the mention of an art show. Maybe he can plan something for them to do after school, though Rebecca made it clear she wasn't ready for him to pick Emily up alone. He returns to his suite briefly to freshen up, then heads downstairs, deciding to locate Rebecca. After all, he wants to see if there's any small step he can take to help with Emily's afternoon routine, or maybe he can pick up a thoughtful surprise, flowers or art supplies. The idea makes his pulse quicken, a small gesture to show he's serious about being there for both of them. He finds Rebecca near the front desk, reviewing a new shipment of marketing brochures. Her expression is businesslike, and the staff members around her treat her with respectful deference. It reminds Andrew how much she's grown in her career, how the once idealistic college girl has become a confident leader. He waits until she finishes giving instructions to the desk attendant before clearing his throat softly. "Rebecca?" She turns, eyes narrowing slightly as if bracing for whatever conversation might come. "Andrew, everything all right?" He nods. "Yes, just wanted to see if you had a moment. Maybe we could talk privately." Her posture stiffens, but after a beat, she motions him toward a quieter corner of the lobby. A decorative panel of frosted glass provides a degree of separation from the bustle. "I only have a minute," she says. "We have VIP guests checking in soon." Andrew's words rush out in a hushed tone. "I was thinking about Emily. After school, she usually comes here, right? You said she waits until your shift ends around 4? Rebecca lifts a brow, nodding. "Yes. Mrs. Harding picks her up from school and she stays in my office or the staff lounge, sometimes does homework in the break room." He clears his throat. "Would it be okay if I stopped by around then? I know you said you weren't comfortable with me picking her up myself, and I respect that. But maybe I could help watch her, or we could talk. I just want to spend time, even an hour or so." She studies him, uncertainty evident. "I'm not sure. I have a lot to handle this afternoon prepping for tomorrow's corporate event." A small sigh escapes her. "But maybe it'd be all right if you kept her company in the staff lounge. I'll be in and out, as long as you keep me informed and don't try to take her anywhere." Relief and gratitude flood Andrew. "I promise," he says, fighting the urge to reach for her hand. "Just in the lounge. That's more than enough." She glances away, looking for all the world like she's already second-guessing her decision. "All right, she should be back from school by 3:30. Just let me handle the VIP arrivals first. We can coordinate then." He inclines his head. "Thank you, Rebecca. I really appreciate it." They part ways. Andrew notices a few curious stares from passing staff, but no one dares to comment. He suspects rumors might be swirling about the wealthy businessman spending time with the general manager and her daughter. Yet, for once, he doesn't care what people speculate. With a couple of hours to kill, Andrew returns to his room to grab his laptop. He tries to answer emails, only half-focused. The thought of hanging out with Emily in the staff lounge both excites and terrifies him. What will they do? Talk about her day? Try to draw pictures together? He's never been responsible for entertaining a child, especially not one who might resent him for missing 8 years of her life. Eventually, he decides to do something tangible. Slipping out to a nearby gift shop in the hotel's commercial arcade, he browses for anything Emily might like. Stuffed animals line one wall, children's books another. He finds himself drawn to a small set of watercolor paints and a sketch pad, remembering how Emily said she loves art. Carefully, he chooses a kit with vibrant colors, plus a sturdy notebook of blank pages. The clerk rings him up, politely congratulating him on the hotel partnership. Andrew thanks her absent-mindedly, hugging the bag to his side. It's not a grand gesture, a child's painting set, but it feels symbolic, a promise he hopes to fulfill, that he's here to nurture her passions, not just drop in and out of her life. By 3:15, Andrew waits in the staff lounge, the painting supplies discreetly tucked in a simple shopping bag. He's perched on one of the few comfortable chairs near a table stacked with magazines. Around him, a few staff members unwind between shifts, sipping coffee from paper cups. They cast him curious glances, but no one asks questions. Rebecca arrives with quick, purposeful steps around 3:20. She gestures for him to follow her into a small side corridor, away from curious ears. "Mrs. Harding just texted. They're on their way in. I have to greet a VIP, so please keep Emily in here. I should be back within 15 minutes. Andrew nods, excitement brimming. "Sure. And I have something for her," he says, showing Rebecca the bag. "Just paint supplies. Is that okay?" Her guarded posture eases slightly. "That's thoughtful," she admits. "Just don't overwhelm her. She might be tired from school." He understands and waits. A few minutes later, Emily appears in the lounge doorway, holding Mrs. Harding's hand. She lights up at the sight of Andrew, though her eyes flick around, checking if her mother is nearby. Not seeing Rebecca, she tentatively steps forward. "Hi, Emily," Andrew says warmly. He stands from his chair. "How was school?" She shrugs off her backpack, her grin widening. "We did more painting on the cafeteria mural. My flowers are turning out really good." Then, noticing the bag in Andrew's hand, she tilts her head. "What's that?" "Something for you," he replies, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. He hands her the small bag. Inside, she discovers the watercolor kit and sketch pad. Her eyes go wide, and she inhales a tiny gasp. "For me?" she whispers, almost reverent. She gingerly opens the kit, letting her fingers brush the paintbrushes and bright color squares. "Wow, I've never had fancy paint stuff before." Andrew's chest warms at her delight. "I remembered you saying you like to paint. I thought this might be fun. You can use them anytime you want. Maybe we can paint together sometime." She beams. "Thank you." Without warning, she wraps her arms around him in a quick hug, then pulls away, cradling the paint kit like a treasure. Mrs. Harding, smiling nearby, quietly slips out, presumably to give them space. Andrew leads Emily to a small round table in the lounge where they settle. Some staff glance over, smiling at the unexpectedly sweet scene. The hum of vending machines and low chatter fills the background. "So," Andrew starts, leaning forward. "How was the rest of your day? Did you have math practice again?" Emily giggles. "No, today was reading time and art. I like reading better than math, but I still do okay. My teacher says I should try some chapter books soon." They chatter for a while, Emily telling him about her friends, Andrew asking gentle questions about her interests. With each answer, Andrew gains a clearer picture. Emily is imaginative, empathetic, and quick to smile. Her curiosity about the world reminds him so much of Rebecca when they were younger. Soon, the door opens, and Rebecca walks in, shoulders slumping with relief that the VIP arrival must have gone smoothly. She spots Emily clutching her new paints, her grin radiant. "You two look cozy," Rebecca remarks, voice neutral but not unkind. Emily holds up the kit. "Mommy, look what Andrew got me. Isn't it cool? Now I can practice more painting at home, too." Rebecca glances at Andrew, her eyes flickering with an expression he can't fully decipher. Gratitude tinged with caution. "That's nice," she says softly. "Just remember to say thank you." "I did," Emily chirps. "He said maybe we can paint together. Can we, Mommy?" Rebecca hesitates. "We'll see, sweetie. We have to find a good time for that, especially if Andrew's still busy." She looks at Andrew. "Speaking of which, do you have more meetings today?" Andrew shakes his head. "Actually, I've wrapped most of them. Mark is handling the rest. I'm free if you'd like me to stay until your shift ends." A complicated expression flickers over Rebecca's features. Maybe gratitude, maybe uncertainty. "I'm off at 4, she says. "Emily might want a snack in the meantime. You can stay with her here or head to the break room as long as you keep me posted. I'll pop in when I can." Andrew agrees, sensing how carefully Rebecca is testing his reliability. So he and Emily spend the next half hour chatting and laughing over silly stories, like the time Emily thought the hotel's laundry chute was a secret passageway. Occasionally, Rebecca ducks in, checking on them, clearly wary but less tense than before. Each time, Andrew maintains a calm demeanor, wanting her to see he's handling things responsibly. At 4 o'clock, Rebecca reappears, a light jacket slung over her arm. "All right, Emily, let's get your backpack. We'll walk Andrew out." Emily bounces up, hugging the paint kit. "Mommy, can we paint tonight?" Rebecca smiles wryly. "Not tonight, honey. We'll see what time allows. But maybe soon." Andrew stands, smoothing his shirt. "Thank you both for letting me hang around this afternoon. It really means a lot." He holds Emily's gaze. "I loved hearing about your day." She smiles, a bit shy. "Me too. Thanks for the paints. Rebecca leads them through the staff corridors until they reach the lobby, where a mild wave of evening check-ins is already underway. Emily chatters about the potential paintings she could make. Outside the entrance, cars pull up, valets rushing to assist. Andrew stops near the grand revolving doors, turning to face them. He's reluctant to say goodbye, but he knows pushing too hard could backfire. Any chance I can see you tomorrow? Or we can finalize weekend plans? Rebecca glances at Emily. We'll confirm by text, she says, measured. I need to check the staff roster, make sure we're not short on Saturday. Andrew nods, accepting her terms. Emily waves one last time before she and Rebecca walk off, heading toward the staff parking area. Andrew watches them go, that now familiar tug of longing in his chest. Yet this time, it's wrapped in a layer of satisfaction. He spent real, unhurried time with Emily, and she seemed genuinely happy. He exhales, stepping out into the mild afternoon air for a moment. Cars glide past, guests come and go, and Andrew feels more certain than ever that this is where he belongs, carving out a place in their lives one small moment at a time. The ringing of his phone breaks the moment. He checks the screen. His father. Despite the pull of old habits, Andrew hesitates, letting the phone buzz twice before he steels himself and answers. Andrew, John Coleman's authoritative voice greets him. I've been trying to reach you. I hear the Addison Group is on board. Good work. But there's an issue with our Denver property. Andrew tunes in, but he can't help noticing how his father's call feels like an intrusion into a newfound peace. As John rattles off the complications in Denver, Andrew realizes he has a choice. Does he drop everything and fly out to handle yet another crisis? Or does he stay grounded here near his daughter, building the connection he's almost lost? His father's voice drones on, but Andrew already senses the shift inside him. This time, family comes first, or at least he'll try to make it so. His grip on the phone tightens as he envisions Emily's bright smile, her budding trust. He's not walking away again. Making up his mind, Andrew sets his jaw and interrupts gently, Dad, I understand the situation, but I can't leave right now. I'm in the middle of something important. A pause crackles over the line. I can consult from here, but I'm staying in town for a few more days. His father's reaction is immediate outrage. What do you mean you can't leave? You're the reason we got the Denver property in the first place. Andrew cuts him off with surprising firmness. Dad, I'm not running away from my responsibilities. I'll handle Denver remotely or we can send someone else. This is non-negotiable. I'll fill you in on details soon. Silence, then a curt scoff. We'll see about that. You're making a mistake, Andrew. But Andrew stands his ground, breathing calmly. I'll talk to you later, he says, ending the call. A shiver of adrenaline pulses through him. He's never defied his father so openly, but the moment he lowers the phone, an unexpected wave of relief washes over him. He steps back into the lobby, heart resolute. If this is how it feels to choose family over the relentless demands of business, he wishes he'd done it sooner. No matter how John Coleman reacts, Andrew can't ignore what he's found here in this hotel. A little girl who wants him to stay, and a woman he once loved who's daring to let him back in. He thinks of Emily's paintings waiting to be created with her new kit, and he can't suppress a small, hopeful smile. Let the corporate storms rage, he'll face them. Because this time, Emily isn't just an item on his to-do list, she's the anchor he never realized he needed. On Friday morning, the Riverstone Hotel hums with anticipation for the weekend's events. Staff scurry through the corridors, adjusting fresh flower arrangements, polishing every reflective surface. Guests arrive in steady waves, some for conferences, others for a relaxing getaway. Amid this bustle, Andrew Coleman remains on a different wavelength. His mind set firmly on the plans he's making with Rebecca and Emily. He's up early, sipping coffee in the hotel lounge while tapping notes into his phone. A few final messages from Mark reveal that so far, Addison Group remains satisfied with progress. The Denver property crisis still hangs in the air, But Andrew is determined not to budge from his newfound priorities. He double-checks a text from Rebecca, a short practical note confirming she and Emily can meet him late Saturday morning to visit the botanical garden. Relief and excitement stir in his chest. It will be their first real outing as something resembling a family. But the morning peace shatters when Andrew's phone rings. He eyes the caller ID, John Coleman. Knowing it's bound to be another tense conversation, Andrew slips into a quieter corner near the hotel's business center and answers. "Dad?" he greets, voice composed. "Andrew," his father says curtly, "I've booked a flight. I'll be at the Riverstone by noon. If you refuse to come to Denver, then we'll settle this in person." Andrew's pulse spikes. It's one thing to defy his father over the phone, another to face him here, in the very place Andrew is trying to build a fragile new bond. "Dad, there's no need," he says carefully, knowing the futility of protest. "I've told you, I'm handling things remotely." A clipped exhale echoes over the line. "I'm not convinced. The Denver deal is hemorrhaging and the cost overruns are piling up. If you're so set on staying put, then fine. But I want to see for myself what's so important that you'd risk the company's stability, have a car waiting for me at the airport." Before Andrew can respond, John Coleman hangs up, leaving a coil of tension in Andrew's gut. He steps out of the business center, scanning the lobby as if bracing for an immediate confrontation. But his father won't arrive for hours. He exhales slowly, running a hand through his hair. This is the last thing he wants to expose Emily and Rebecca to, especially after the shaky progress they've made. He finds Mark in the breakfast lounge, finishing a plate of eggs and toast. Mark spots Andrew's troubled expression. "Everything okay?" he asks, pushing his plate aside. Andrew lowers himself into the adjacent seat, his face grim. "My father is flying in, arrives around noon." Mark winces. "Ouch. Let me guess. He's not happy you wouldn't jump ship to Denver?" "That's putting it mildly. He's determined to fix the crisis personally and can't grasp why I won't leave." Andrew straightens, shoulders tensing. "He'll want every second of my attention, but I have no intention of leaving Emily behind. I need you to back me up, Mark." Mark's gaze softens. "I will," he promises. "You've been good to me all these years, Andrew. I can keep him busy if it helps, give him the corporate update, show him progress on Addison's expansion. Maybe we can head off any meltdown." "Thanks," Andrew says, relieved. "I just hope he doesn't cause a scene. The last thing I want is to upset Emily or sabotage the weekend outing." Mark nods. "We'll handle him. Focus on your plans. You deserve this." By late morning, Andrew paces the main lobby, throwing occasional glances at the revolving doors. He's arranged for a private hotel sedan to pick up his father from the airport. Anxiety knots in his stomach. In the past, he'd relish these father-son power meetings, hoping to prove himself. Now, all he feels is dread. He's no longer the loyal heir blindly following John Coleman's directives. At noon, a black sedan rolls up outside. Andrew braces himself. The valet opens the passenger door and John Coleman emerges, tall, gray-haired, carrying himself with an air of imperious self-assurance. His steely gaze sweeps the hotel facade, then lands on Andrew. Andrew forces a polite smile as he steps forward. "Dad, welcome to the Riverstone." John's grip is firm, his expression unyielding. "So this is where you've been hiding," he says, voice low. He scans the grand interior, faint approval flickering over his features. "Impressive place. It's part of the Addison expansion, isn't it? At least you managed to close that properly." Andrew resists the urge to roll his eyes. "Yes, the expansion is on track. Mark can brief you on details." He motions for a bellhop to take John's luggage, but his father waves the help away, carrying his own bag with determined pride. Together they stride into the lobby. John's gaze darts around, assessing staff, guests, the general aesthetic. "So where's Mark?" he demands. Andrew gestures. "We have a suite arranged for you. Once you're settled, Mark can join us upstairs with the project files." John grunts in acknowledgement. As they pass near the front desk, Andrew glimpses Rebecca from the corner of his eye. She's standing beside a guest, sorting out a reservation detail. Their eyes meet, and in that instant, Andrew senses her alarm. She recognizes the presence of John Coleman, likely from old photos or perhaps from a chance meeting back in the day. Or maybe it's simply the tense aura that hangs around him. To his relief, Rebecca quickly turns away, guiding the guest to another staff member. Andrew can't worry about that now. He leads his father to the elevator. The ride up is fraught with silence, John's jaw set like granite. In the suite, John paces the living area, quickly scanning the plush furnishings. "Not bad," he remarks. "Now, let's get to business. Show me what's happening in Denver. I want no excuses for why you're not on a plane." Andrew retrieves his laptop from the coffee table. He pulls up spreadsheets of the Denver project, construction delays, budgets, contractor disputes. For several minutes, they pore over the data in stony silence, with John firing pointed questions about each cost escalation. Andrew answers factually, revealing that remote negotiations have already begun. He's emailed new proposals to contractors and scheduled a call with local officials. Eventually, Mark knocks and enters, offering a polite handshake to John. "Good to see you again, sir," Mark says diplomatically. He sets out additional documents detailing Addison's next steps. They move on to discussing the Riverstone expansions, flipping through architectural sketches. Andrew tries to keep the conversation controlled, mindful not to let John bulldoze him into leaving. Half an hour later, John straightens, crossing his arms. "All right," he concedes grudgingly. "It seems you've done some work. But the Denver situation is precarious, Andrew. I still don't see why you can't oversee it in person. This is the kind of problem that demands leadership on site." Andrew steels himself. "I've considered that, but for now, remote management is enough. I can handle calls, video conferences, whatever's needed. My presence here is non-negotiable." John's eyes narrow. "Non-negotiable? This is the family enterprise you're risking. Your personal whims can't jeopardize everything we've built." Andrew's temper flares, but he reins it in. "I'm not risking anything. I've closed Addison and I'm addressing Denver. I have a personal matter that requires me to stay in this city, at least for a little while." Before John can demand specifics, Mark intervenes. "If I may," he says, clearing his throat, "we have a solid plan for Denver. Andrew's right. Daily calls with the site team are already scheduled. If we see no improvement by early next week, we can reassess. It might not require Andrew's physical presence, just strong remote coordination." John eyes Mark, evidently displeased to see him siding with Andrew, but he can't deny the logic. Exhaling, he rubs his temples. "Fine, we'll see. But if this doesn't turn around quickly, Andrew, you're on the next flight." Andrew doesn't argue, content that it's at least a temporary truce. Sensing the tension, Mark packs up the documents, offering them to John for review at his leisure. John nods curtly, then fixes Andrew with a cold stare. "I'm hungry. Let's get lunch." Mark glances at his watch. "I have a call with Addison in 15 minutes. You two go ahead." Andrew hesitates. He's not sure he wants to spend more time with his father than necessary. But refusing might escalate the conflict. Finally, he capitulates. "All right, Dad, let's head to the hotel's restaurant." They descend to the main dining area, where staff seat them near a window overlooking the manicured courtyard. The tension lingers, as heavy as the hush that follows them. Andrew orders a light meal, not feeling particularly hungry. John opts for a steak, sipping water with a grim air. Midway through lunch, Andrew notices movement near the courtyard. He spots Emily through the tall windows, walking hand in hand with another staff member, possibly delivering some small decorative items. She's smiling, carefree. He wonders if she sees him, or if she'd even guess the man across the table is her grandfather. John notices Andrew's distraction. Following his gaze, he spots Emily. "Who's that child you keep staring at?" he demands, brow furrowed. Andrew sets down his fork, swallowing. There's no easy way to say it. Part of him wants to hide it a bit longer, spare Emily from John's cold scrutiny. But if he's serious about integrating into Emily's life, secrets won't help. "That's my daughter," Andrew says quietly, bracing himself. "Her name is Emily." John's face flickers with shock. He recovers quickly, but the surprise is unmistakable. "Your daughter? Since when?" Andrew keeps his tone calm. "She's 8. I only found out recently that she's mine. Her mother is someone I knew before I left town years ago." John's eyes spark with anger, confusion, and 1,000 unvoiced questions. "And you never told me? You never told anyone?" Andrew exhales. "I didn't know. Rebecca, her mother, raised her alone. Communication broke down, calls were blocked, and I never realized I'd left them behind like that. Now, I'm trying to make amends." For a long moment John stares, mouth set in a thin line. Then he sets his napkin aside. "Is that why you're refusing to leave this city? Because of this child?" "This child," Andrew echoes stiffly, "is my daughter. And yes, that's exactly why. She matters more than any deal right now." John shakes his head in disbelief. "Andrew, you've invested your entire adulthood in the Coleman empire. Suddenly you discover you have a child and you're prepared to risk everything?" Andrew's voice trembles with conviction. "I'm not risking anything except my regrets. I've missed 8 years of her life. I won't miss another moment if I can help it." Something in John's gaze softens for a fraction of a second, but it quickly hardens again. This is quite the revelation. "So does the mother expect money? Is she blackmailing you into playing father?" Rage flares in Andrew's chest. "That's enough, Dad," he hisses. "Rebecca wants nothing from me except that I not hurt Emily or break her heart. She never demanded money, nor did she contact me for my fortune. I'm here because I want to be." A tense silence ensues. Slowly, John leans back, exhaling through his nose. "This is a complicated situation, son. I understand your guilt, but you can't let it blind you. We have a legacy to uphold." Andrew scoffs softly. "A legacy is worthless if I have no family to share it with, and Emily is family, whether you like it or not." Their server approaches timidly, refilling water glasses, sensing the charged atmosphere. Andrew forces a stiff smile as the server retreats. John picks up his fork and knife, but his appetite seems diminished. Moments pass in strained quiet. Finally, John clears his throat. "I'd like to meet her," he says, voice gruff. "If she is truly my granddaughter, then I should at least see her." Andrew freezes. On one hand, Emily deserves to know her grandfather exists. On the other, John's cold temperament could intimidate or confuse her. He weighs it carefully, remembering how fragile Emily's trust is. "That's not my decision alone," Andrew says at last. "It's Rebecca's as well, and Emily's. I won't force anything." John's lips press into a thin line, but he doesn't argue. "Fine, but I'm staying until I figure out how this affects our future. Don't expect me to just vanish quietly." Andrew meets his father's gaze head-on. "I wouldn't expect anything less, but I won't allow you to bulldoze your way into Emily's life without caution. We do this on her terms." John gives a curt nod, returning to his food in stony silence. Andrew musters a breath, feeling the weight of a new conflict brewing. He needs to protect Emily from the potential harshness of a grandfather who spent his life prioritizing business above all else. Yet he also wonders if there's a chance for John to soften, to let Emily's innocence melt his armor. A swirl of resolve and apprehension rises in Andrew's chest. It's not enough to stand up to his father for himself. Now he must stand up for Emily, too. And as the remainder of lunch creeps by, each forkful tasting like sawdust, Andrew realizes that tomorrow's botanical garden visit might be overshadowed by the specter of John Coleman's presence. But no matter the tension, Andrew won't back down. Emily's right to a father, and perhaps a grandfather, means forging new boundaries and fighting for her well-being. He steels himself, vowing that whatever storms come, he'll stand firm. Because for the first time in his life, he's fighting not just for success, but for love, and he refuses to fail the little girl who's counting on him. Saturday dawns warm and bright, with the Riverstone Hotel basking in golden light that streams through its tall windows. Andrew stands by the lobby's grand piano, nervously checking his watch. It's nearly 10. Rebecca and Emily should be here any minute. He can't help replaying the tense conversation with his father yesterday. After John Coleman demanded to meet Emily, Andrew managed to deflect any immediate confrontation, but he knows his father won't let the issue rest for long. He told John he had family matters to attend to on Saturday, and that the Addison negotiations were secure for now. John's fury at being sidelined once again was palpable, yet Andrew is determined to focus on the promise he made, a day at the Botanical Garden with Emily and Rebecca. He hasn't told them about John's sudden interest in meeting Emily. He's not sure how or when to bring it up. His nerves settle a bit when he sees Emily trotting across the lobby, one hand gripping her mother's. Rebecca seems calm, though an undercurrent of tension still lines her features. Emily sports a bright floral sundress which she shows off with a spin as soon as she spots Andrew. "Look, Andrew, I'm wearing my flower dress since we're going to see real flowers," she exclaims, hair bouncing around her shoulders. Her grin is infectious, and Andrew can't help but laugh. "That's perfect," he says, leaning down to greet her. "You look fantastic, like a walking garden." Rebecca joins them, her attire casual yet elegant, a breezy blouse and comfortable slacks. "Morning," she says, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Shall we get going? The garden opens at 10:30, and it's a short drive away." Andrew nods. "I've arranged a car outside, ready when you are." They step through the revolving doors into the mild sunshine. A sleek black sedan with a discreet hotel logo waits at the curb. The driver opens the rear door, and Emily slides in first, her excitement palpable. Rebecca follows, then Andrew settles beside them. It's the first time the three of them have traveled together. A strange, stirring feeling of unity hangs in the air. As the car navigates out of the city center, Andrew sneaks glances at Emily's animated face. She peppers them with chatter about her week, her art projects, her excitement over seeing exotic plants. He can sense Rebecca listening closely, too, a soft smile touching her lips at their daughter's enthusiasm. A pang of longing hits Andrew. He's missed so many such moments. Before long, the car pulls into a wide parking lot flanked by towering oak trees. A wrought iron gate announces Shoreline Botanical Garden. Low hedges and blossoming rose bushes line the entrance. Emily practically bounces out of the car once the driver opens the door, craning her neck to see deeper into the garden's winding paths. Rebecca thanks the driver and arranges a pickup time for later. Then, turning to Andrew, she says quietly, "This is a big day for her. She's never been to a real botanical garden, only the small greenhouse near her school. She's excited to have you here, too." Andrew swallows. "I'm excited as well," he replies, voice thick with gratitude. Her words feel like a small step toward acceptance, a sign that she's acknowledging his role in Emily's life. They head through the main gate, past a ticket kiosk where Andrew quietly settles the family admission. Immediately they're greeted by an explosion of color, flower beds teeming with vibrant blooms, meandering paths framed by tall sunflowers, and wooden arches draped with vines. Emily gasps in delight, running a few steps ahead, only to pause at every new plant that catches her eye. "Oh, Mommy, Andrew, look at these!" She points to a cluster of bright orange lilies swaying gently. "They look like tiny trumpets." Andrew steps closer, crouching beside her. "They do," he agrees, letting her excitement seep into him. Rebecca joins them, gently cautioning Emily not to touch the delicate petals without permission. The air is warm and fragrant, a perfect setting for forming new memories. They move slowly along the winding paths, sometimes stopping to read placards about particular species. Andrew offers to snap photos of Emily beside her favorite flowers, and her giggles echo across the garden. Occasionally, Rebecca catches his gaze behind the camera lens, a mixture of warmth and wariness in her eyes. It's as though she's allowing herself to hope, but can't quite shake the fear of being hurt again. Around noon, they stumble upon a wooden gazebo perched by a small pond, koi fish gliding under the surface. Emily rushes to the edge, squealing about the orange and white fish swirling below. Andrew gently reminds her not to lean too far, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. Rebecca observes the gesture quietly. "Let's rest a moment," Rebecca suggests, nodding at a bench in the gazebo's shade. They sit, and Emily perches on the bench railing, enthralled by the water. "It's so pretty," Emily murmurs, hugging her knees. "I want to paint this pond with all the fish." Andrew smiles. "When we get back, maybe you can use that watercolor set. I'd love to see how you capture it." Emily brightens. Then, out of the blue, she asks, "Will you have to leave again soon? Like, for your business stuff?" Andrew's chest tightens. He glances at Rebecca, who's chewing her lip. "I'm staying for a while," he says carefully. "I can't promise I won't have trips in the future, but right now, I'm here." She nods solemnly, as though accepting a vow. "Good. I like having you here." Silence falls, broken only by the rustle of leaves in the breeze and the gentle splash of koi nibbling at the pond's surface. Andrew's heart glows at Emily's simple honesty. He glances at Rebecca, silently conveying that he means every word. After resting, they resume exploring. Emily finds a small children's area with interactive displays about pollination. She darts among the colorful signs while Andrew and Rebecca linger at the edge. "How are you feeling?" Andrew ventures softly to Rebecca. "About all this, me being around?" She exhales, gaze trailing Emily. "Cautiously optimistic," she admits. "It's been good for her having you show interest. She's happier, more animated. But I'm still scared you'll leave." "I'm not leaving," he says firmly. "Even my father showed up to pressure me, and I told him I'm staying." Rebecca turns abruptly. "Your father? He's here at the hotel?" Andrew nods, wincing at the alarm on her face. "He arrived yesterday, found out about Emily. He wants to meet her eventually. I told him it's not just my decision." Her eyes flash with a mix of apprehension and anger. "He's the one who... He blocked my calls, or had his office do it, right? Years ago. The same father who never let us get close, even in college." Andrew's mouth goes dry. "He insisted it was all for my focus. I had no idea at the time you tried to reach me. I'm still coming to terms with it, but I'm not letting him bully me or Emily." Rebecca's gaze drops. "I don't know how she'd handle meeting him. He was never friendly toward me, Andrew. I'm worried he'll treat her like an inconvenience." Andrew sighs, gently touching her arm. "I won't let that happen. Emily's well-being comes first. If you say no, that's that. But eventually, maybe it's better if we face him together, show him we're a united front for her sake." Rebecca draws in a slow breath. "Let me think about it. I just want to protect her." He nods. "I do too." They rejoin Emily, who's discovered a small wooden pollination puzzle. She proudly shows them how bees carry pollen from flower to flower. Together, the three of them meander deeper into the garden, time slipping by in pleasant conversation and laughter. The midday sun climbs high, but shady groves and gentle breezes keep them comfortable. By early afternoon, they reach a cafe nestled among tall oak trees. Outdoor tables overlook a butterfly habitat, where colorful wings flutter in the sun. Andrew insists on buying lunch, sandwiches, fresh lemonade, and a small fruit tart for Emily. She devours every bite, excitement radiating off her in waves. Rebecca sits opposite Andrew, a soft smile playing on her lips as she watches him lean in to listen to Emily's chatter. The tension in her expression eases, replaced by something like contentment. Andrew realizes with quiet relief that this might be one of the happiest times they've all experienced together. After lunch, Emily begs to see the rose garden. They follow winding paths lined with rose bushes in every hue, soft whites, pastel pinks, bold reds, and cheerful yellows. Emily pauses to sniff each bloom she's allowed to, her nose crinkling at sweet scents. Rebecca stands back, letting Andrew guide Emily. At one point, Andrew notices she's taken a photo on her phone. Emily giggling as Andrew points out a bee landing on a flower. It feels like a keepsake of normalcy, a testament to something precious forming between them. Eventually, Emily's energy flags. She yawns, rubbing at her eyes. Andrew checks the time, nearly 3 in the afternoon. "We've had quite a day," he remarks, glancing at Rebecca. She nods, lips curving in a gentle grin. "Let's head back," Rebecca says. "We can stop at the gift shop if Emily wants a souvenir, then pick up the car." Emily perks up at the mention of a gift shop. Hand in hand, the trio makes their way out, pausing briefly at a small wooden store near the entrance. Emily selects a pressed flower bookmark, the petals arranged to form a tiny butterfly. She gazes at Andrew as though expecting him to say no, but he readily pays for it. Rebecca quietly thanks him, a flash of warmth in her eyes. Back at the hotel parking lot, Andrew helps Emily into the car, and they drive off under the bright sky. When they return to the Riverstone, the doorman greets them, and Emily insists on showing him her new bookmark. Andrew and Rebecca exchange an amused look. They step into the lobby just as John Coleman appears from around a marble column, phone in hand, expression severe. Andrew's chest tightens. He hoped to avoid a run-in. John's gaze zeroes in on Emily, then flicks to Rebecca. A shadow crosses his face, but he schools his features into a semblance of calm. Rebecca tenses, placing a protective hand on Emily's back. Emily stares up at John, curiosity brimming. She leans closer to Andrew and whispers, "Who's that man?" Andrew inhales, mind racing. He sees John looking at Emily, jaw tight. Perhaps it's a moment of realization that he's face to face with his granddaughter. "Emily," Andrew says gently, "this is my father." Emily blinks. "Your dad?" She shifts, eyeing John from behind Andrew's leg. "Hello." John's mouth opens, but no words come out immediately. A swirl of emotion clouds his eyes. Pride, shock, maybe even regret. Finally, he clears his throat. "Hello, Emily," he says quietly, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. My name is John." Andrew glances at Rebecca, who holds Emily's shoulder in silent support. Emily peers at John, then steps forward a bit. "You're Andrew's dad?" she asks, voice small. John nods stiffly. "Yes, I suppose that makes me your grandfather." Emily's brow furrows. She looks to Andrew and Rebecca as if seeking confirmation. Rebecca chews her lip but offers a careful nod. Emily considers this new information, then, with childlike sincerity, says, "It's nice to meet you." She extends her hand tentatively. John seems taken aback. Slowly he takes her small hand in his, giving the faintest shake. "Likewise," he murmurs. The lobby hum falls silent around them, as though everyone senses the significance of this moment. Andrew watches, heart pounding, hoping against hope that John can find a shred of tenderness for Emily. And then, unexpectedly, Emily offers John a little smile. "We just went to the garden. It was super pretty. There were flowers everywhere." She glances at Andrew, beaming. John presses his lips together, struggling to respond. At last, he manages a careful nod. "I'm glad you enjoyed it," he says. His gaze flicks to Andrew, a silent swirl of questions. The tension in the air is undeniable, but Emily remains oblivious, her excitement from the day overshadowing the adult undercurrents. Rebecca steps in, gently steering Emily away. Come on, sweetheart. Let's head to my office for a minute, okay? She gives Andrew a look that says, handle this carefully, then guides their daughter down a side corridor. That leaves father and son standing in the lobby, the quiet swirling around them. John exhales, looking deeply unsettled. She's quite something, he says at last, voice subdued. Andrew allows himself a small, proud smile. She is. She deserves to know she's loved and wanted. John hesitates, face reflecting an inner battle. Then he nods curtly. Yes, well, I see why you've stayed. His tone lacks its usual biting edge. I won't interfere, Andrew. I hope you know what you're doing. A rush of relief courses through Andrew. Though John's acceptance is far from perfect, it's a crack in the hardened shell. I do, Andrew says quietly, for the first time in years. John gives a last nod and heads toward the elevator, leaving Andrew alone in the bustling lobby. He breathes out a long exhalation, a swirl of exhaustion and triumph coursing through him. Emily and Rebecca are safe in the staff corridor, sheltered from any further confrontation. And John, while not exactly welcoming, seems to have taken a step back from his attempts to control Andrew's every move. In the distance, Andrew glimpses Emily bounding toward her mother's office, the pressed flower bookmark clutched in her hand. He smiles softly. One day at a time, he thinks. Each promise kept, each moment cherished, a world away from the endless deals and transactions that once defined him. He takes a final look around the elegant lobby, then heads in the direction of Rebecca and Emily, because for all the success he's achieved, only one legacy truly matters now, the one that involves a bright-eyed girl who believes in his presence, in the love he can finally offer. And Andrew, determined never to let her down again, takes each step forward with renewed purpose and hope. If you enjoyed this story, don't miss the next one. Just click on the screen